Thanks to some messages I have received yesterday and to some feedback I have received, I decided not to do this video in French with English subtitles. I can speak a quite good French, quite good Italian and a broken English, and thanks to it I can address my speech to different cultures and different point of reference that are not the same in the English word, in the broken English word, in the French word and in the Italian too. And the first answer I would like to share with you concerns the following question. Jacopo, you are a successful artist, so why are you not rich? Or why you are not well known? Why you are not popular? And this is a fact. So, I would like to speak with you about these three words: success, or being successful, being popular, or popularity, and create an economy, artistic economy, or being, in a simplified way, rich. These three words are normally used separately, and in the common language, not only in the broken English, but in the common language, in any kind of language, very often they are mixed together and they create a sort of confusion. Remember that confusion comes from Latin, that means fusion with, cum fondere. And when you make a confusion, generally you create a mean, like a mean derivation, a sort of average, that does not simplify the concepts. Generally, this kind of average destroys the concept. I give you a very simple example. You can take a very good French wine, Bordeaux Chateau Lafite, very good one, and you mix, you confuse with a very good water, Perrier, and you confuse it, you make a fusion between them, and you obtain something that it is undrinkable. You cannot really drink. So these words, when they are confused, they produce some probably categorical mistakes. And these kind of mistakes can be, I think, not really dangerous, but can create some frustrations in young artists. Being a successful artist means that that artist has been able to create several compositions, several artistic objects that took place. Succedere in Latin, because to be successful comes from succedere, it is a Latin word, means to take place. Succeeded, it means one thing that succeeds another. It means that you do something more and more and more, and this succession, okay, has the same morphological starting point than to be a successful artist. In this specific conception, I am a successful artist, yes, in the middle niche of the so-called contemporary music. I'm not a popular artist at all. And this because the kind of music I belong to and the kind of music I want to create, it is also called in other language with music coming from erudition, musica erudita, in Italian, or in French, musique érudite. Extrudere, in Latin, again, sorry, means to remove everything that is not necessary, to remove unuseful things. It means that the music I produce comes from something that has been broken, and then we remove the unuseful part, and we keep only those that are useful to build something new. The music, the so-called contemporary music, should, in its own deep nature, asking itself all the time why we do this kind of music. Are we able to create new archetypes? Are we able to make thickness and more deep archetypes? Can we redefine an archetypes? And which is the difference between a stereotypes and an archetypes? So you can imagine that, and these are the main question of what it is called aesthetics. A music based on research, a music based on experimentation, a music based on new technology if you want, but the only difference between music that does experimentation, using new technology, whatever you want, without this kind of question is not a so-called music of erudition like we intend in Paris, where I live. And because of this kind of questions, of course, it's not popular at all. Who wants to listen to a music not in order to have a pleasure of listening it, but also, and beyond the pleasure, who wants to listen to music to get it, to catch the deepest research of, for instance, Beethoven, formal intentions in the last piano sonatas or in the last string quartets. I like very much Beethoven music, and if I could give you a number of compositions I really know about Beethoven, not that I just heard 1, 2 or 3 times. No, something that I really know, such as I can know perfectly some very popular music, like music coming from Sting, from Björk, from I don't know, from Jacques Brel in French language. If I couldn't define how many Beethoven compositions really I know, probably I tried yesterday, of course. I cannot enumerate more than 30 compositions, not even 30, to be honest. I mean, I like Beethoven music, I listen very often to Beethoven music, and indeed, I do not know even not 30 compositions from Beethoven. So when now there are many people telling me I go to listen the whole production for string quartet from Beethoven, I say, okay, yes, let's do it, go it. I'm happy, mainly for the musicians, because I really don't believe that these kind of people telling me this sentence really can have access to what Beethoven meant to do inside his string quartets. It means that when we refer to the music I produce, the music I belong to, we never thought about popularity, never. I mean, it's this kind of music has not the ambition. It's not a question of ambition. Has not the goal to be popular at all. The only goal is to find and to look for the inner transcendency that the artist can have with this kind of music. The second word, so this is to be successful, so means to make composition succeed in order to be spotted. If something is spotted, if something is detected, if something is belongs to some archives, even very new archives, a festival, a document, a catalog, that means that something has taken place, so it belongs on the concept to be succeeded by something else. So it means to belong to the same sphere of successful. This is one concept. The second concept is a popular artist. In a way, yes, of course, a popular artist has to be an artist with success, or a successful artist. That's not that often in the so-called commercial music. In Italy, sometimes there are, I remember this when I was a child, there are one song that arrives, we don't know really why it happens, you don't know the previous song of this composer or this artist, you just listen to one song, I make like a peak, like a top that arrives in a moment, And then it's spread out in the largest popularity we can even think, and everybody knows that song, and then it disappears. So popularity belongs to another category of human being and human behavior that can be connected to the first one, but not necessarily. And I take, of course, the last word means the economy, or to be rich thanks to its own production. It means then that if you are popular and if you make people buying what you produce, of course you can create an economy. The best well-known example in my life is Michael Jackson, who, if I'm not wrong, was the second most viewed person lively. It means the first one was the Pope. I don't know how we can say in English. I think we can say Jean-Paul II. I don't know. Jean-Paul II in French. It was the most lively seen person in the world, because people went to look at him, even if he saw him very little far away. The second one was Michael Jackson. It means a huge quantity of people saw him lively. It means paid for seeing him. A huge quantity of people bought his CDs, and of course it created a huge economy. So in this case, he was an artist with success, a successful artist. Since when he was young, we could detect, we could spot his career as a dancer, as a singer when he was a child, and we continue to follow him. So he was a succession of a lot of events, extremely popular because of many other reasons, and thanks to this, he created a huge economy. I give you two examples that, probably even three examples now, such as this is my third time I do this video in a third language. The first one is Pierre Boulle. Pierre Boulle, he is 95, if I'm not wrong, stage director in the field of theater, and it is one of the most well-known stage director in Europe, belonging to the 20th and 21st century. In a way, he is extremely successful in Europe, at least, extremely well known in the middle, in the niche middle of the contemporary theater. But in a recent interview, he said clearly that he has to work every day, till now, he's 95 years old, if he wants to have a decent life. I mean, otherwise, in a way, it means that he couldn't create a strong economy, even if he is one of the most well-known living stage director. This because the so-called niche, the so-called middle, sometimes they do not cross each other. Sometimes they touch each other. So the middle of, for instance, painting, okay, the middle of poetry, the middle of dancers, the middle of contemporary music, or let's say music in general, the middle of movies, and so on and so on and so on. Sometimes they touch each other when there are some collaborations, for instance. Sometimes they cross each other when the same artist uses more than one medium, but very often they have different behavior, different system of productions, and different system of distributions. So this is an example for me of a person extremely well known in its own middle, that is a successful artist. It is extremely popular inside this field of the contemporary theater, but he couldn't create, or he didn't want, probably I think he wanted, but he couldn't be able, such as many other artists I know, and myself too, an economy able to allow him let's say, a better life situation, economically speaking. Another example comes from the USA. But last November, I came to New York for a dancing project with Virginie Messène, the French choreographer, working with Bougle. And it was nice because all the dancers came from Martha Graham Company, but they signed this production on Bougle Music Theatre. And Virginie Messène did the choreography. And after the performances, because we did it several times, there was a lady, extremely old for me. I think she is around like Peter Brook, 95 years old. I'm not sure, probably 93, probably 97, I don't know, who cares. But her body was quite, let's say, I don't know in English how we can say, consumé, I don't know in English, consumed, I'm not sure about this translation. But the way of, the kind of questions she asked me after the concert, and all the way of questioning the kind of music, how did they compose the music with this particular technology of breathing system, how many rehearsals did we do, how many, it was strange. There was a sort of shift between a décalage, between the vivacity, between the state of curious, how curious she was, and let's say the age of this lady. So I asked around me who was this lady, because for me she was totally unknown. I never met her before. And in the field of dancers, of New York dancers, so this specific niche middle, she is extremely well known. In the 60s and after, she performed many times for years the part of in Peter Pan musical. When there are the little Indians in Peter Pan musical, she was the first role of the Indians as a dancer, and as she is quite a little dancer, she could make the interpretation of a sort of permanent teenager, okay? And it was a perfect shaping, a perfect shape, a perfect size for the Peter Pan musical. And she was extremely popular in the 60s, in the 70s, and the TV showed her dancing all the time. But I know that now she is in a quite bad economical situation since a while. And this is to show, and despite the fact that she's in some economical difficulties, she was extremely open, extremely careful, extremely interested in a new production with an unknown composer, me coming from Paris. So, Peter Brook example, this lady example, or my maestro Luciano Berio example. I had the chance, or it happened, that I spent a lot of time with Luciano Berio during his last 7 years. And I could stay very close to him till several weeks before his death. And I could see him working all the time, despite the sickness. He was extremely sick at the end of his life. He had a lot of painful in his own body, and malgré ceci, in French, sorry, I think we can say despite this in English, he never stopped writing. He never stopped composing. I don't know who among you are listening to me knows Luciano Berio. Here in Paris, when I speak to so-called normal people, nobody knows. And even recently, I spoke about Pierre Boulle, nobody knows. And in the middle of contemporary music, in this niche, very little one, Pierre Boulle's Luciano Berio, extremely well known. In a way, quite rich too. It means they developed an economy. And I changed, so the answer to the question that people ask me, why, if you are a successful artist, why if you do project with Chanel, with Hermès, with Camille Fournet, if you do some project at Grand Palais in Paris, if you work in Tokyo or in Shanghai, or if you move around à la scène musicale in Paris, and so on and so on. If you look on my CV, okay, my biography, okay, Jacopo is a successful artist. Yes, because I do projects, they succeeded one after the other. And when we can see some of my projects, we can imagine, wow, Jacopo has a lot of money, because his productions are extremely expensive, sorry. No, this is a mistake. Thanks to some sponsors, I could do several projects that without this sponsor, probably they would have been inside my diary, mon carnet intime, with all my wishes, all my desires, and they probably remained there. Thanks to this kind of sponsorships, I open a parenthesis, I will do a video expressively to answer to another question: how is that possible that Jacopo finds this kind of sponsorship? It's very easy, and I will do the answer very easy, but I will do it later in another video. So, yes, of course, some of the project or the production I did, some of the project I did needed big production system, in a way, a sort of a big economy behind. From private sponsors, from state institutes. In Europe we have state institutes that puts money in production, mainly in France, not really in Italy. And this is the answer I would like to give to young artists. But in this way of thinking, okay, if Jacopo is successful and he makes project with a quite big economy, it means that to do this kind of project we need a big economy. This is a mistake. And this is a mistake I would like you to avoid and to remove from your way of thinking. The reason why I decided to do the kind of music I decided to do since when I was 8 years old, it's, I repeat, I was looking, and I'm still looking, I found many answers of course, but I'm still looking of a deepest transcendency about myself, and the best way I found is music through composition. This is the main goal I have. To do it, you need to be successful. It means in the Latin specific definition, to make shows succeeded. You need, in order to do your project, you need to be successful. It means you need to be spotted, to be detected, to be, en français, repéré, in Italian, reperito. And this is the way, because something takes place, so you can make a succession of events. It's a question of size. Probably in another video we could speak about only some strategies, how to do it, healthy strategies, how to do it. But for young artists, this is my message. Do not think that you need a big economy to make projects. This is not real. This is false. This is a mistaken interpretation, at least about my own production. I think that the deepest knowledge we have is based on etymology, and we do not study enough etymology. So my wish is study more etymology, so you can make better separation in terms, and when you make better separation in terms, you can make articulations and not confusions. There are different words. Okay? Articulations produce energy, confusion, no, produce something bad. Remind you to the example of the good wine and the good water, what you obtain. And if you use better the etymology, you can perfectly understand that to be a successful artist is probably the only social goal we should attempt. It is how to make ourselves able to succeed in one project with another. It means for an artist there is nothing worse than to be unexpressed. It means that an artist needs to be expressive, needs expression. And expressions needs project to show this expressivity. And the only thing you should focus on is to reach the level of successful, to be just spotted. So people can work with you, people can ask you to work, people is interested in what you do, and this created the minimum social, I insist, social level for making you exist. The popularity and the economy that can go with is another question. And if some artists I know, and they ask me this question, if you make this a silly comparison, a silly confrontation about the size of some projects and the economy you needed to do this project, it's wrong for you, because probably you, younger people, younger than me, that can do it better, faster, probably can do the same kind of idea with simpler tools than the one I can use and can manage. And that's all.